Hey guys, welcome to my channel. In this video, we're going to talk about 3 stocks which you can buy during a recession. And if they go down a little bit, it doesn't really matter because in the long term, they are going to go up. Now, I believe these 3 stocks will outperform the stock market over the long term. What I mean by that is the S&P 500 goes up somewhere between 7 to 9% each year. I believe these 3 stocks will go up more than that each year. Before we do start though, I want to tell you a little story. Because I've bought stocks in the past and one quite recently, which was a very bad decision. It was a speculative decision and it lost me a bit of money. The reason why I did this, I've been in the stock market for quite a while, probably not as long as a lot of people, but probably about 5-6 years. And I've always been quite cautious. Like I've always dollar cost average, like index funds, bought a few stocks here and there which I liked. But I saw kind of what happened with Hertz and these other companies which were going bankrupt. They absolutely crashed, and then these Robinhood investors came in and the stock price, went up. So me and my irrational thinking, I'd seen this company called Wirecard. Now they were about $130, 130 euros, I should say, a while back. They're a German financial tech company, basically, and they were about $130 a share. About a month or so ago, they were around 100 euros a share. And their CEO had basically been doing dodgy things with the numbers. He'd been saying that their earnings were higher than they were to bump the share price up and stuff like that. And then they got audited and they got found out. The CEO resigned and the share price went from about 100 euros all the way down to 12 euros. Now me and my stupid thinking was that, okay, this stock's absolutely tanked. All these Robinhood investors are going to come in and the stock's going to go up. And what happened? Well, it went down. When I bought the stock, it was about 12 euros. And then what happened was it was about 12 euros. And then the CEO handed himself in. He got arrested for fraud and the stock went up a little bit. I was like, okay, great, here we go. I'm going to double my money. And that didn't happen. It went down to about 5 euros. I actually sold out at, obviously I'd gone from buying at 12, sold out at 5, and then it continued to go down and now it's about 2 euros. So this video is going to be the opposite of that, and we're going to try and learn from my mistakes and what I did, because to me, I was chatting to one of my friends about this and we were saying it could be a really good thing. It could be a very expensive mistake. So in this video, I'm going to give you 3 solid companies and I'm going to give you the reasons why I think they're going to outperform the stock market over the long term. But before we do start, please hit that like button down below. It's a brand new channel, so it really, really would help out. I'd really, really appreciate it. Please also consider subscribing down below. I'm going to be posting, my aim is at least 3 videos a week. I'm going to try and do more than that as well, just to give you loads of insights on the stock market, what's happening, good companies to buy, any news that's coming out. I'm a big fan of quite a few companies like Tesla, Spotify, Facebook, so I'll probably do in-depth videos about them. But yeah, let's get started. Okay, so I'm going to do this in reverse order, and starting in 3rd place is Apple. Now there are a couple of things to consider when investing in Apple, just because of what's going on in the world at the moment. Like this pandemic is obviously causing Apple some problems. Now they've closed a lot of their stores again across the US, so naturally that's going to affect their sales of the iPhone, the Mac and everything else like that. And also this US-China trade war seems to be ongoing. It has quietened down the last few weeks, but it is ongoing, and that is going to affect Apple sales in general. Also, one more thing just we have to kind of consider with Apple before looking to invest in them is the fact that there's a bit of lack of innovation. A lot of people say the innovation at Apple hasn't been the same since Steve Jobs, and that has resulted in Apple sales being pretty stagnant. They haven't grown that much over the last few years. However, there are a couple of other areas where Apple have made considerable increases in their revenue. So in Q2, Apple made over $13 billion in service sales alone. So that's things like the iCloud, the App Store, Apple Care, etc., etc. And although the iPhone sales have stagnated a bit, the other products are doing really, really well. So Apple makes a huge amount of money now from the AirPods, from the Apple Watch, from the MacBooks. So those products are doing very, very well. It's just the iPhone sales which have stagnated. Remember, Apple's ecosystem is very, very good. Like, I've got an iPhone, I've got the AirPods, I've got a MacBook, I've got the Apple Watch, which is an absolute nightmare if you smash the screen. So if you have an Apple Watch, do not smash the screen, get a screen protector. This one isn't actually fitted very well, but please get one because it costs about $400 to replace. Absolute nightmare. That is one thing. If you smash an iPhone screen or an Apple Watch screen, they're very expensive to replace, but that's another story. It's probably how they make extra revenue. But yeah, Apple's customers are extremely loyal. I think Apple's customers are the most loyal in the world. Like, if you've got an iPhone, the chance of you getting another iPhone is extremely high. Like me personally, I would never go to an Android purely because I think an iPhone's a better phone. I'm used to it, but also because I'm kind of locked into that ecosystem, which isn't a bad thing. I actually like it. Like, you know, my Apple Watch is linked to my phone. If I go for a run, they're linked together. The AirPods, etc., etc. It's a really, really good system. So you tend to kind of, if you have an iPhone, you usually, I think most people will have another Apple product at least in the house, whether it's an iPad or a MacBook, etc. So in terms of service revenue, they've been very innovative and they've found other streams of, you know, revenue that they're able to make to increase their overall revenue, and that's amazing. However, going back to the iPhone, I think there'll be sort of a mini iPhone revolution soon, and that's based on 5G. I think Apple by market cap is the world's biggest company. I think they'll continue to be so for some time. Just like with the 5G thing, there's no company in the world which is going to benefit more than Apple as a result of 5G. And I think, you know, Apple usually announce their new phone around September time. It's probably going to be a little bit later this year with everything going on, probably more like October, November. But I think they're going to make a huge announcement with 5G. I know they'll probably say, yeah, we've got a better 3D camera, we've got a better processor, we've got a new chip, whatever. But I think the main thing which Apple are going to announce in September, October, November, whenever that is they're going to make a big announcement surrounding 5G. So I think that really will get those iPhone sales back on that upward trajectory rather than stagnated, which has happened over the recent years. So Apple are trading at an all-time high, approaching $400 now, with a market cap of like 1.65 trillion. They're the world's largest company by market cap. So they are an all-time high. However, I do think they are still a good buy based on the fact that 5G is kind of future-proofing them, and that all the other streams of money they're able to generate. I do think they'll be a very, very successful company continuing on for the next 10 years. So I do think Apple are a very good investment. However, their PE ratio is around 30, so they are trading, you know, high. It is an expensive time to buy them. Historically, they're around a PE ratio around 20. Now, whether PE ratios matter in this market, I don't know anymore. It just seems to be people buy anything no matter what. So on the whole, I think Apple would outperform the market. I think that you probably could get around a 10% return on them at least per year. If you bought them in March, you know, you'd have already nearly doubled your money on Apple based on that crash. However, I think if you were to buy them now, great buy over the long term. It's a very, very safe place to put your money. Yes, if there's a stock market crash, of course they can drop again. And if they do, it'd be an even better time to buy them. But if you're planning on holding Apple for the next, even, you know, it's a short-term trade over the next 2 years, I think Apple will still be a great buy. But if you can hold it for 5+ years, I think Apple is a brilliant investment. They are innovative. I know they've had their sort of critics since Steve Jobs, the lack of innovation, but they've proved that they're able to make large amounts of revenue in other areas, whether it's the services or other hardware bits as well. So in second place is the old Facey B. It has to be in the top 3. It was nearly number 1. I'll explain why when we come on to the company in first place, but Facebook has to be in there. We have to consider having Facebook in our portfolio. The reason why is they are the number 1 place for ad spend. Yes, you could argue like there's Google, but Facebook for me is the number 1. Facebook have gone through all sorts over the years. They're going through this thing now where companies are boycotting them for July because of this political reasons, they're targeting ads and stuff like that. It's a bit of a mess really, but Facebook never ever failed getting over a hurdle. They've had so many before, this Cambridge Analytica thing a few years back. They've gone through all sorts. But Facebook is a number 1 place for companies to advertise. Now, there's a very, very good reason why. Now, the traditional method of advertising is to pay to be in a newspaper, pay to be on a TV, for a billboard, leaflets, whatever that is. Now, there's a major problem with that. You cannot track the revenue that that's creating. If a company spends millions of dollars for an ad in an NFL game or something like that, they can't track how much revenue that is coming from that ad alone. It's pretty much impossible. Whereas with Facebook, you can say, right, a company can say, right, I want to spend $1,000 on this ad, and you can directly see the increase in revenue from that ad. Companies need Facebook. They need Facebook to advertise. So Facebook is not going anywhere. It's going to be the number 1 place to advertise for years to come. They've also got Instagram, which they acquired for 1 billion. It's now worth 100 billion. Instagram is it's exactly the same as Facebook in terms of the way it makes money through ads. They've got WhatsApp, which they haven't even monetized yet, which I think will be, huge when they figure out a way to do that, whether that's through having an ad on there and a premium service, kind of like Spotify, where you can have WhatsApp, but there might be ads on it. But if you pay X amount of dollars per month, you can have WhatsApp. I don't know whether they'll do something like that. That's just sort of my thinking. They're trading at about a 35p ratio, which of course is high, but at the moment every company looks overvalued. So if you are looking for somewhere to put your money and you keep it there for a few years, I think Facebook is a great investment. I think in the next few years they'll have $1 trillion market cap, and they could potentially push Apple for the #1 spot in the world's most valuable company by market cap in a few years. I think there's a lot of room for growth with Facebook, so I definitely would consider it, despite them trading at an all-time high and despite that PE ratio being a bit high. If you wanted to wait for a dip, that they had one, I think it was 2 weeks ago, where they dropped about 8-9% in a day due to companies boycotting their ad spend for July. I really don't think it makes any difference to the world. Facebook are one of my favorite companies. I actually haven't invested in Facebook yet. I'm looking to in the next couple of weeks. I'm looking for a dip, and if there's a crash and it goes below 200, I will go in heavily on Facebook. So yeah, that was number 2. Okay, in #1 spot, if you haven't guessed it already, it is Amazon. Now, Amazon's share price has climbed to over $3,000 now, and it looks quite expensive. The thing with companies like Amazon, I compare Amazon in my head to like Tesla. Amazon's price, the value, the P ratio, to me, it doesn't matter. They are so innovative. They're always coming up with extra things. They're always innovating in different areas. Like if you look at AWS, which we'll come on to in just a second, and Zook, this new automobile company to to deliver parcels and stuff with no driver. I just think that innovation at Amazon there's just no competitors. It's come out the last couple of days that Walmart are going to be competing with Amazon Prime. I just can't see that myself. I can't see them being any threat to Amazon whatsoever. Amazon are going from strength to strength. They're one of the few companies where this pandemic and this illness has actually benefited them. Because companies are closed, traditional shops are closed, people can't buy the stuff that they were buying usually. So where are they going to go? Where do you think to go when you want to buy something online? Of course, it's Amazon. They sell absolutely everything. If you've got Amazon Prime, they've got next day delivery as well. So the S&P 500 tends to double every 9 years based on historical data. Now, if you were to buy a share of Amazon in 2012, 8 years ago, it would cost $179. It would now be worth over $3,000. The share price is times by 17 in an 8-year period. I don't think you get that growth moving forward, as in they're now so big, but I do think they will definitely beat the market. Amazon's one of the top holding in most index funds, so you can expect if you do hold an index fund, maybe 1% of that money will be going into Amazon, so obviously that benefits their share price as well. But one of the main things which I think will be huge for Amazon in the next few years is AWS. Now, we know their retail business is amazing. The pandemic has actually benefited their business model for people buying stuff online. But in terms of AWS, I think that would be huge for Amazon moving forward. Now, if we take a look at this graph here, you'll see the AWS growth from 2013 through to 2019. Now, it's a huge growth already. AWS are the market leader in terms of the cloud platform. Now, 30% of companies are using cloud. At the moment, over the next 2 years, it's expected that at least 50% of companies will be using a cloud platform in the next 2 years. 300 billion has been spent so far in the last 6 years, and over the next 3 years, another 700 billion will be spent on cloud platform. Most of that, or not most of it, but a lot of that money will go, towards Amazon for AWS. Obviously, they have got competitors there like Microsoft, but AWS is by far and away the market leader. Amazon is absolutely bulletproof. It is going from strength to strength. Yes, if there's a crash, the stock price would drop a bit, as other companies do. It is hard. I do get it. It is hard to see Amazon over $3,000 and dump some money into it. I do think that is definitely the case. But with banks paying, savings account paying such a low amount of money, like such a low return back to you, I think putting your money in a company like Amazon, and if you can hold it for a good few years, you're going to get some very, very nice growth there. And I definitely think it's going to beat the market based on their innovation based on what they're doing and what they're expanding their company to be. So if we look at the PE ratio, Amazon's PE ratio is 147, which sounds ridiculous. It sounds super high, but it just doesn't matter. With a company like Amazon, it just doesn't matter. It's almost irrelevant. It's like I said before, it's like a Tesla. You can just completely disregard the PE ratio for companies like this almost. So just to finish, guys, these three companies, I think if you're to put your money in them and you have the mindset, I'm going to hold this company for a good few years. If it drops, that's fine. That's just an entry point to buy more. I really do believe they'll outperform the market in the long term. But please remember, this isn't financial advice, so please don't take it as so. Remember, always do your due diligence. I can never say that word. Always do your due diligence. Due diligence. Yeah. Always do your due diligence. Look into the company before. But these three bad boys, I think over the long term, like I said, you are going to get an amazing return on your money. If you can buy them at a bit of a lower point, buy them on a dip, buy them on a red day, great. Anyway, thanks guys. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. As I mentioned earlier, please hit that thumbs up down below. It would really help out the channel. It's brand new. Please also subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.